So here's a new feature that I've added to the note graphing synth. Actually, there are a number of new features that I added. One was the ability to create 12-tone rows and other kinds of pitch sets that are fixed, though the rows are randomly generated. But here I've added a composer feature that will allow you to select your own pitch sets, the frequency of distribution of those notes in the pitch sets that are randomly applied with the algorithm, and then you can also select a bass beat. This doesn't know anything about quarter notes or eighth notes, etc. It just knows a bass beat and multiples of that, so you can imply rhythms by selecting different combinations, statistical distributions of these based on the setting, either your bass beat, 2 times the beat, 3 times the beat, which would give you a dotted kind of note sound, and 4 times the beat. And then I also let you select, once you've set those note lengths, whether or not what's generated is going to be a note rhythm or whether it's going to be a rest. Rests really being notes that are out of the MIDI range, and they'll appear like rests to your ear. Then, in addition to that, I let you set an octave distribution range. As you bring that up, the chances that the note will be in the octave above the bass octave increase. Then I give you an intervals setting where, as you bring that up, the chances that you're going to get more stepwise conjunct motion increase. Of course, if you set a pitch distribution that has the possibility of stepwise motion in it. So let's see how this nice composer feature works. What we'll do is set a note. If you don't set the distribution of a note, it won't be played. So let's set C for a high distribution. That means the chances when the random note picking happens, that is C will be selected, are higher than if I say select D with a small amount. So if I just select these two, I'm going to compose a melody that just has C's and D's in it in the bass octave, since I haven't set anything there. Not very exciting. So let's set some more notes. Let's set, say, an F with a relatively high distribution, a G with a higher distribution, not quite as high as C, and A will set just a little bit. Now this will always generate 48 note patterns or rests, which may seem like less if you are setting beat multiples, but let's not set any beats right now. So this is just going to select the default bass beat using that note distribution, and let's compose there. I've composed it. Let's look at what's coming out. You'll see there's G's and C's, a lot of G's and C's, as we said. Now, statistically, it is all kind of randomly generated, so you may not get exactly the distribution, but it should be close. And you can see there are a few D's in here, some F's, and if we go to the second page, same thing. Well, let's see what this sounds like. You can still set all the parameters, the timbre, the speed, modulation, etc. So let's just play a note on the continuum, and that's what I have this connected to right now, but it can also use the Osmos. This defaults to only half the pattern range, so let me bring that up. I put a new algorithm in here which scales the speed and the range a little better, but you can always change the speed to whatever you like. That's a little fast, so. But what else can we do? Let's go back to the composer. We can clear the performance, and let's do something where we'll have C, D sharp or E flat. We'll, let's say, maybe put a little bit of E natural in there, some G, A flat, maybe A sharp rather, and maybe a little bit of B. Then what we'll do is we'll turn up the octave a little bit so the chance that we'll get some notes in the octave above increases. And we'll add another beat pattern in here, 2 times the beat as well as 1 times the beat. So we'll get a little rhythmic differentiation, and the chances that some of these will be a rest, let's bring that up a bit. Okay, we'll compose, and let's go see what we have now. And you can see there's some note offs in there, so we have some rests in there. We have the same notes that we selected in a distribution similar to what I had, and this will sound like. And every time you do this, you're going to get a different set of pitches because it's randomly selected running through this algorithm that sets the distributions. All right, I think you kind of get an idea of what you can do here. Very flexible in terms of the pitch sets. Let's go back, let's reset, and now let's select something that's going to be, say, a major scale. We'll have frequencies that will apply for all of the notes in the scale. If I did not set the stepwise motion control, the chances are some of these would be stepwise motion, some of them would be jumps as we basically go through the distribution. Because I have the higher ones here on, say, C and G, I would expect more jumps to come out here. Maybe let's change this so that F has got a really high number. Maybe C's a little less. And let's, for this one, set the stepwise motion pretty high. And let's see what we get out of that. And it's a little jumpy. So there you go. There's just a little composer feature that I've added in that will allow you to be a little creative in terms of how you create different sets. If we go in and we look at the fixed configurations, I've added, if we go in and look at our new voice management page, there's a lot more options here that you can set in terms of how the voices are manipulated. You can double them, swap them, go up an octave, down an octave, do all kinds of things. And then I give you a little composed voice that does some random generations of tones in selected patterns. These will change every time, but obviously they're fixed in terms of the internal configuration. For example, select a 12-tone pattern. As opposed to a major one. And then there's just some random here, surprise me pattern. So it's kind of a nice sequencer. Of course, you can go back and select the notes that you want in your sequence, note by note, to whatever you want as well. I've increased the range of this from C2 to C7 now. It's out in the beta release for Osmos and Continuum. It uses the same files for both. If you have an Electra 1, give it a shot. See if it does anything nice for you. It's meant more as just a fun tool to play around with than anything else.